All right. Hello and welcome back to Frequency with me, your host, Michael Edwards. Today, I'm being joined by my amazing friend and colleague, Haley Bowler Cooke. Haley is the founder and CEO of Uplift Lifestyle. She is a best selling author. She has an incredible book called Unfuckwithable that you can get on Amazon. And she is also the host of the Uplift Lifestyle podcast. So, this was an amazing conversation about energetics, about fame, about frequency, about high performance and alignment. And I cannot wait to share this with you.
Hello, everybody. It is Haley Muller Cook here, and I'm sitting with my friend Michael, who is a colleague who does incredible work. We're so excited to be chatting with you today. We're going to be talking high performance, we're going to be talking precision, excellence, and we're going to be talking about energetics and alignment. So, Michael, how are you? How's your day? What's the vibe? What's going on for you right now in life?
I'm so good. I was just thinking as you were speaking, I feel like in the 10 minutes we've been sitting here before we started, we both are spiraling up with our energies together. So I'm
Yeah.
so excited about that. And yeah, it's been, good day. I had the gym this morning, then we had a mastermind call, and now I'm here with you. So things are fire today.
So good. So, what time is it? Because I know you're on the West Coast. So what time is it right there?
It's 2:30.
Oh my God, it's 2:30. That's so funny. I still am one of those people that get giddy about like time zones because I'm like, what? It's almost 6 o'clock here on Eastern Standard. And I'm just, I leave for vacation tomorrow and like ready to like,
Ah,
yeah, have a cocktail and pack up. And it's nighttime right now. Like I'm like, it's winter, Canadian winter. I'm like, it's nighttime and it's 2:30 and you've got bright light. Like it's a whole vibe. So good.
I love it. It's funny. I just booked a vacation too, actually, today. I was on the fence about going next week, but about every 6 weeks or so, I like to go and just stay at somewhere luxury and go travel. So I actually just booked that today as well. So we're both about to go on vacation.
I'm loving that for us. Yeah, the vacation we're taking tomorrow is so special too because it's actually gifted to us. And I was just like, oh my God, what a vibe to be gifted a vacation by my fiance's family.
Oh wow.
They're flying us first class. We're taking a yacht. We're traveling like the Sandblast Islands and Cartagena, the Panama Canal, Aruba, like all these gorgeous places. And I'm just like, yes, thank you more, please. I love that I didn't have to plan anything and I'm just literally showing up. I'm planning my outfits. That's it.
I love
So
it. I love it. That's like the most important thing to plan.
100%, 100%. So Danielle, actually, so one of our mutual friends, Danielle Amos, a lot of my community knows her, and I think a lot of your community probably knows her.
Yes.
Been helping me with outfits too, and she's like, "Take this, take this." She's like the yacht queen. She's like, I got this," and I was like, "Yeah." But yeah, it's been an interesting morning or day because basically like January 2025, basically, let's just call it what it is. This year, it's only been like a month and a couple days. And I'm like, holy fuck, like I have quantum left more times than I can count. And this morning, actually, it like caught up with me. And
Mm.
I hosted a ceremony last night at my parents' retreat center, renewal retreat that we run. And it's like the most beautiful retreat center ever. My parents are earth angels. Absolute magic occurs in this space. And Michael, you need to come visit, and that needs to get calendared. So I'm there last night. I'm hosting this beautiful sold out event. I end up staying over, hot tubbing, hanging out with my mom. We have this beautiful night. This morning I wake up, and this, let's speak to intuition for a moment. I My conscious mind is, you need to get fucking home. You have so much shit you need to do before you go on vacation, podcast interview, all these email automations you have to set up, like so many things that I'm just like, let's go. And like wrapping up all that stuff that you need to do before a trip, right? And I'm taking this trip to fully unplug too. I'm not working. Letting my assistant take care of everything. I'm really just pulling back. Usually I take clients on vacation and I telegram, and we're not even doing that. We're going unplugged. So it's been like a bit of a lead up to this trip. But I get in my car, it's 9:30 a.m. I'm about to leave my parents. And I get this strong feeling like, do not leave yet. And I was like, okay. And then I felt this like huge wave of vulnerability. And I think something that a lot of people don't know is that when you're operating at such a highly powerful and refined level, you also get big waves of vulnerability. You
Mm.
feel the expanse. So you're not only feeling so fucking powerful, you're feeling so fucking vulnerable. And the vulnerability is that power. Anyways, so I get this vulnerable feeling and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm at my parents' house. I can go in, I can go literally cry. I'm a grown ass woman. I hold so many people. I can also go in and be held by my mom and be supported and be vulnerable, which is hugely edgy for me. Just to be clear, it took my near death experience to crack my heart open so that I could be soft, so that I could be vulnerable. So I go back in, we're having this, she's out in the hot tub already. Like literally, I just left and I come in. I'm like, Mom, where are you? I'm like, oh, she's out in the fucking hot tub, of course. So I go out, I join her, and I'm just like, Mom, I'm like feeling everything at once. I'm exhausted. I'm overwhelmed. And then she was like, oh my God, get in here. We have this beautiful healing chat. I end up feeling just like you and I chatting, the vibration lift so instantly. I'm getting that. I'm looking at the birds. I'm back in this expanded consciousness because I listened to my intuition. My intuition was like, I
Mm.
could have easily just self-regulated and optimized on my own because I do it all the fucking time on that drive. But I was like, go be held, go be vulnerable, go cry to your mom, even though you're a grown ass, successful, high performing woman. Go get that safety and that help. And not everyone has a mom to go cry to, or a partner or a lover, or whoever, but find someone or find something that you can soften into. And I just wanted to lead with that personal story because that's literally how my day was. I was like, I'm this high performing woman who's like running this empire, and I'm like, I gotta go cry and be vulnerable for 10 minutes. And yeah, I wanted to tell you that, and I want everyone to hear that because I think it's true and real.
Yeah, I love that you said true and real because that's the thing. It anchors us deeper into that truth expression, right? Which is where it's like our soul's truth and our power comes through. And so, how did you feel immediately after that and today as well?
So good and so expanded. And that's speaking to high performers, there's, before you break through to your next and highest level, there is this, and I hope people on YouTube can see me, but if you're not seeing us right now and you're listening to the podcast, I'm holding my hands up like a box. There's this little box that even very highly successful, highly functioning, powerful people operate in. They operate in a box when they're scared to be vulnerable, when they're scared to lean into a new edge, when they're scared to maybe risk being raw, risk doing something new, risk being seen for who you truly are in all of you. So for me, I know I had many years as an athlete, as a university student, very high performing, as a personal trainer, as I had a tech company. When I started Uplift Lifestyle, like the first few years of my business, I was like this. I was in the box, but I was thriving in the box. I was successful in the box.
Mm,
I was
yeah,
safe. I was comfortable there. I was like, this is what I do. I'm so fucking badass, yada yada. But I was never actually going to my highest potential, which is why I never felt what I feel now. That the last almost a year, I've decided of going all fucking in on my highest potential and being okay with being vulnerable and raw. And that's the difference between the high performers that are functioning in the, let's say, normal world,
yeah,
like some maybe lawyers, some doctors, some like high performers, before they start to work with someone like you or I, they're like thriving in safety though. There's
yeah.
like that
And
safety
on
to
the linear growth path as well is what's in
linear.
that box, right? That's the linear growth. That's the like 5% increase each year. Yeah, which is we're not here for that. We're here for the
Oh,
exponential and
we're
the
here.
collapsing time and what's possible. And I love so much that you started with this because I actually had kind of a similar experience yesterday in that I've been so in like business mode and laying the foundations. I've got a lot of new things coming up. So I've been doing systems, structures. I just brought on a new team member. So I've been doing lots of training, lots of communications, like really, head to the ground, get lots of work done, like focus, focus, focus. And I love that. There's a part of me that comes alive when I do that. I love it so much in the moment. And I'm really good at of hyper focusing on those things. But I notice a lot of the times when I have a season of that, it's like my vibration will dip and I'm still doing the energetic self-care practices, but I can feel it. I can feel it. And yesterday I really felt it. I was like, I am really like low vibe for me. Something's off. And similarly, I talked to two of my, super expanded, high vibrational friends, and we talked about all the things, not even that much, serious stuff, but same thing. I was vulnerable with them,
Yeah.
particularly the second friend that I talked to, and I was like, there was this part of me that almost held back, and I was like, normally I'm the one that's great, got it, this is what, but I was just honest. I was like, something's off, and it led to this really beautiful conversation. And he even reminded me of some things that I taught him and modeled for him, and just kind of like brought me back to that frequency first perspective that I know that we're both so about. And I realized I was like, oh, I've been like working towards my vision, but I haven't been living in my vision. And I haven't been living with that future me that I'm connected to, channeled through the now. And once I realized that, and yeah, had like the courage to just talk about it and sit with it and move, and then
Yeah.
really reconnect to that, like my celebrity
Imagine.
healer Michael, and just
Yeah.
letting it coming through in the present. I was like, boom, I'm back today. I was at the gym this morning. There's this, and then in the doing the business, there's something coming up, and I was like, how am I going to do this structurally? And I'd been in the mind about it a bit, and it just came through. It was like, oh, actually, you're going to do it like this, and I'm going to launch this on Sunday, and it's going to open to this other thing, and I can see it, and I feel that energy. And when I know that energy's there, I always know things are going to pop. Yeah, so I totally feel what you're saying, and it's so easy in the old paradigm, or like the traditional paradigm, to go, well, that doesn't matter because the thing I can measure with my mind is like this and this and this, right? Like it's so easy for you to be like, well, I'm busy. I don't have time to go back to my mom because I need to go pack. Or like for me to be like, you have all these things going on. Like you don't have time to take a whole half a day and just be in your feelings with your friends. But that's actually where so much of the attunement and the refinement happens.
Oh my God. And yes, and I let's speak now to high performers. So if you imagine, I made the comparison of someone who's on a linear path, or you said the linear path, but I
Yeah.
was like maybe doctors, lawyers. Now let this be known. I have doctors and lawyer clients that were on a linear path and then they hit exponential because of what we're chatting about today.
Yeah.
It's not to say, oh, doctors and lawyers. I was just using an example of society would say they're so successful, but there's a lack of fulfillment there because there's this containment still versus the boundless, versus the infinite that every human wants because we are souls experiencing humanity for a brief moment in time. So we want, it's like a call home. It's, I want to be expanded. I want to be infinite. I want all of it here. So when you think of, you said the word celebrity at some point. You said you're a
Yeah.
celebrity. So think of a celebrity. A celebrity is someone, whether it's an athlete, whether it's a business celebrity, or whether it's like an entertainer, right? There's someone who they have cultivated such a level of precision in their craft, whatever it is, even if it's an influencer celebrity, someone like Paris Hilton, they are so embodied in the precision of this is who I am, this is my craft. Now, they're not playing by linear path or normal rules. They're not afraid to unravel and fall apart and have their whole team pick them back up. They're not afraid to express fully what they're feeling in that range. Okay. The celebrities that I know, the celebrities that I've spoken to, they have such a, the word, some people would say it's a bad word. I wouldn't. They're very selfish. I wouldn't say that's a bad word. I would say that's a really positive thing. They're so focused on their path, their purpose, their mission, what they're here for, that they can feel full expanded range of the highs highs and the lows lows because that's their focus. Their focus is this is what I do and it's safe now to feel this full expansion. They
Yeah.
have the resources, they have the support to be regulated, right? So where some people might be hearing and might if they're not fully catching the frequency that we're on, they might be hearing, oh, it's okay to be a hot mess. No, it's not okay to be a hot mess. It's okay to feel the full range of your emotions when you can be held in that and safe in that and supported in that. Someone like a celebrity, they were holding themselves before they were held by a team, right? They then have the team that holds them there and they're feeling that full range. So the level of power that they experience because they're living life as this is a playground. I can do anything. This is what I do. There are no limits. If you speak to a business genius celebrity who's made it to crazy levels, They don't play by rules. They don't play by limits. They're in the infinite realms, aka they've busted out of this box. Now,
Yeah.
you listen, people listening right now, there's a box that you're in. I fall into my box all the time. I fall into an illusion of limitation all the time. And I'm constantly holding myself to a higher standard, accessing the resources to get to a higher standard, supporting myself through the mentors and the peers that I hold near and dear and close to my heart to get to that higher standard. There's a level that it just doesn't match the extraordinary, the infinite. And that's the conversation I'm here to have. And that's the conversation you're here to have. We're not here to talk about linear, normal results. We're here to talk to the high performers who take it to that exponential level.
Yeah. I love this example about celebrities because it's just so perfect. And even the thing about selfish, what the Gene Keys actually teaches us is that vanity, which is I think what we equate with some of that selfishness, like it's like this hierarchical elitist kind of energy, is actually on the same axis as purity. And to me, that's what the celebrity frequency is. It's this purely expressed, self-realized, self-actualized soul. And it's like consciousness moving through us as us. That person is so self-realized. And so it is, they are very self-important. They are very,
Yeah.
yes, like it's like coming through them from them. So they are the center point of that intensity that's coming through them, right? So it's of course, because really, and like you said it so beautifully, they pull in that support and then they're held. There's like a shared holding of that energy. And I love this example is so brilliant.
There's a frequency of I'm doing it all alone, right?
Yeah,
And that frequency keeps you in the box. That frequency keeps you, whether you're making millions right now, that keeps you in millions versus multi-millions, right? That keeps you in multi-millions versus billions. It keeps you where you are, even if where you are is seemingly really awesome, right? Compared to if a normal person will compare it as awesome, but you're not a normal fucking person. You're not
yeah,
listening to my podcast and your podcast because you're normal. I'm sorry, you're
totally.
not fucking you're not normal, and that's okay. And the other thing that I spoke to this last night at my ceremony, I talk about in oh yeah, it came to you. Say it.
Yeah,
It
it
came to
came
you.
to me. I'm so sorry. I started to cut you off. It was that so the celebrity being like this pure expression of consciousness in one being. And I've been contemplating this lately because I have this mastermind that's for exactly what you're saying. High performers, leaders, everybody in that space is playing a freaking A game. And the celebrations blow my mind like constantly. I mean, I know what's possible, that we're limitless and we have infinite potential, but I
Yeah.
still every week I'm like, oh my goodness. And I just had a call with them before this. And the celebrations are incredible. One woman doubled her month over month revenue from the month before. Another one just secured and is in the process of securing a $120,000 contract. Like they're doing big things, right? And I was thinking about this, and so much of my work comes back to seeing them and holding them in the highest expression of who they are. Above everything else, like we have some strategy conversations, we do some conscious coaching, but above that, it's comes back to this energetic work where we're raising our vibration. We're really aligning to the truth of who we are and being held in that highest expression and highest identity. And so when you were talking about the celebrities, I was like, oh yeah, and this is why everyone's popping off. Because that I had this thought. I was like, why is everyone popping off
That's
so much? Like
it.
not that I'm surprised, but it is that. It's this core thing of no, no, no. Like you said, you've been living in this box and you can kind of see out of it, but like you just kind of go out of it, but you go back in. But actually that thing that you can see, it is the truth. And the work is to start is to work on not living in the box. And like you said, continue to access more of that next level, the resource, the energy, the identity, the thoughts, and have it expressing through you now. And that's where we have these experiences where it's almost like reality doesn't seem real because it reorganizes so quickly. And this
Yeah.
opportunity comes in and that opportunity comes in. And it's just, it seems unbelievable, but when you navigate it the way we navigate it, it is it actually is predictable. It's not the old predictable. It's doable. It's possible. It's
Yes.
repeatable, you know?
It's of course, of course, of course, of
Of
course. Yeah.
course. Yeah, I feel like that's one of your I always hear you saying that. Of course. Of course that
Of
happened
course.
for you. Of
Of
course.
course. And as I want to reflect this, I feel like everyone listening, if you're feeling like chills or like truth in your body, it's because you're hearing the truth. As we're chatting, I'm getting so much confirmation throughout my body of like truth, truth, truth. The standard is the highest truth, the highest light, the highest love. But the reason our work complements one another so much and then we gravitate toward each other and feel like we've known each other forever, even though we literally just met like once in a few,
It's true.
it's just okay, we know each other. It's because we're holding ourselves and we're holding anybody else that comes into our frequency to that highest truth. So last night when I was in the ceremony guiding and facilitating, I was speaking to individuation to oneness. And in my book, Unfuckwithable, that's what the whole book is about. It's individuation to oneness. Being unfuckwithable is like you said, that celebrity frequency of being fully self actualized. When you're fully self actualized, you can do the most good in the world. People see you and they see a reflection of themselves in you when you are fully self actualized because they go, oh, this is so magnetic. This is so attractive because I know that I too, on some level of truth, because we're always just accessing that next point of truth. We're always seeking truth. We're always seeking truth. When someone is fully authentically them, they're vibrating and their frequency and their energy and their thoughts and their beliefs and their actions and who they fucking be in the world is truth. And that is the most attractive magnetic thing. So
Mm.
anytime something feels, oh, it's not going well for me. This isn't happening. It feels glitchy. I'm in lack. You're not being in your highest truth. If you're in your highest truth, everything's fucking cakewalk. It's all easy. It just lands. Okay. And on the journey of truth, there are going to be edges of evolution. I have a whole chapter on it in my book. There will be edges of evolution because you are reprogramming, deconditioning, shifting timelines from what was expired and stepping into the highest truth. But when you operate from individuation to oneness, the entire world, they clap, they thank you, they bow to you, they say, thank you for showing me what is possible. Thank you for showing me my own truth by you embodying your own truth. That's how powerful it is to be fully self actualized in your life. It's so important.
I love this so much. What does that look like, feel like to you? What's the texture of that? What are some signs when you see that in someone and you're like, oh yeah, that person's there, that person's on the way. What does that feel like to you?
Yeah. So I was looking down because I'm looking for this message from a client last night. She said, thank you for being exactly who you are meant to be in this lifetime and helping people find themselves again. So she comes to the event and she says, thank you for being exactly who you're meant to be. Me being exactly who I'm meant to be healed 20 people,
Mm,
actualized 20 people, because I'm just showing up fully as I am. I wouldn't have written the book. I wouldn't have started a podcast. I wouldn't do what I did and what I do if I wasn't fully focused on me, individuation to oneness, because there's a full circular experience that happens when you're fully individuated, you're fully connected to oneness. You're
hmm.
so in love with your life that you can help everyone fucking be in love with their life. And
Yeah.
so to your question with specific examples, when you meet someone and there is such a sense of, some people will call it confidence. It's bigger than confidence because it's not circumstantial, it's not situational. It is embodied. They're just like, it doesn't matter where they are, there's no ego there. There's no ego there. There's pure love there. That doesn't mean there's no boundaries. That doesn't mean there's no standards. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean you're like, it's all good. It's no, you're just so fully embodied in who you are that you're on a frequency of only what you prefer, only what you desire, only what you want is there. When something shows up, like I said, edge of evolution, you can see. So, to answer your question again, when someone's in a hard moment, when someone's in an edge of evolution, but they're fully self actualized, you can see that in them because they see and witness that and they say, thank you. Thank you for
Mm.
showing me where I need to reclaim my power. Thank you for showing me the lessons, the learning. Thank you for showing me how I get to look at this and look at myself, because everything in my life is me projected out. Thank you for showing me another version of myself, a part of myself. In psychology, in like new paradigm psychology, we call that the internal family system. My mom is a counselor. She's huge on the internal family system. So when she was holding and supporting me this morning, she was like, What's little Haley need? Vulnerable Haley, this part of Haley, what does she need? It's like integration, integration, integration. You and I working in energetics and alignment frequency, mostly, we do integration in a different way,
Yeah.
right? But we're always integrating the whole self. So you can tell when you meet someone who's seeing life as possibility, who's happy genuinely in their life. And if they're not happy, they're being real. It's realness that is so fucking attractive and magnetic. And
Yeah,
everyone,
I love this. And I love that you're so big on the individuation and you and oneness, I think you called it as well. I would say I used to say individuation and unity, but it's because it seems paradoxical to the mind, right? And I think one of the traps that comes up for us is this rejection of ego, right? And so we're programmed with all the shadow behavior to go, oh, that's egotistical, or I couldn't want that, or that person's ego too big, blah, 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 blah. And so there's this fear of ego that's carried. And so I think sometimes that for people can be confusing because it's okay, I get moving beyond the ego into this idea of unity where I'm this full expression of love and it's almost like the everything that separates everything falls away and I can feel my connectedness to all things. But then an aspect of that expression of consciousness is this beautiful individuation. And I always say it's ego is very much of the mind, right? Ego is like very the constructs of like I am and my and relating to like our value and who we are to like these like more material things. But I see the individuation of it's like you align yourself to this like pure expression of source light, let's say, and then but you're like a fractal of that. So it's like white light shining through a prism and you're like the red spectrum, right? Like you're that individuated as you fully, purely, authentically, like you're saying, expression of that light. And I think I love that I haven't thought about this in a while, and I love that you brought it here. So is that kind of that's how I would say, is that kind of does that resonate with the way you
yeah.
teach it and look at it?
Oh, I
And
love
yeah,
it. Oh my God, yeah. And I love giving world examples, especially on the podcast. Like obviously when you and I are working with clients one-on-one, our level of precision is so individualized. So if I'm working one-on-one with a client and I'm doing a full energetic and physical upgrade and I'm reading their energy and I'm getting their actual physiological responses in my body, because that's one of the skills that I do, I'm individuating it on such an individualistic level. Like it's
yeah.
so individualized. I can't even really talk about what it is because you just have to experience it. It's so fucking individualized. But I love to give real world examples when I speak on a podcast. So speaking here on the podcast, I was just thinking because it's a big thing recently was the Eras tour, Taylor Swift's Eras tour. That was like a
Yeah.
big thing. Right? Everyone was talking about, everyone was there. She has followed her life path. I'm going to be this famous singer. I'm going to share my music with the world. She is so individuated. She's in her story. She's writing about her life, her story, her story, her story. But she gets on stage and she performs in front of millions of people. And if you look at the crowd, every woman, man, child, adult, and every fucking one in the room is bawling, crying, feeling it because they see themselves in that. They feel themselves in that. That's how important it is to be individuated and then into the oneness. A soul merge can happen, individuation to oneness can happen when you are fully individuated. So Taylor Swift, she's up there, she's doing her thing. She's focused on her thing. Yes, she has intentions and a mission to support the world 100% in her music in whatever way she does, but she's doing her thing. Everyone else is going, oh my God, yes, thank you. I see myself in this song. And then I like to use the example. I'm a huge fan of Nicki Minaj. If you listen to her, if you have a really healthy relationship with your own ego and human and soul and spirit, you can listen to rap music and not get lost in like the delusion and the scare, like all the bullshit of it. You can just be like, this is a fucking great beat, right? She would say she has lyrics that's just I'm the fucking best, you think this, you whatever. But when someone's singing it, they're not thinking, oh, she thinks she's better than me. They're thinking, I'm the fucking best, da da da. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's these are real world examples of when you're fully being you, even if someone would maybe view that as wrong or bad or unethical or egotistical or self whatever. If you're being fully you, someone else on earth is seeing themselves in you and they're thanking you and their life is enriched because of that by being fully you.
This is actually such an accessible example too with the music because in a very real way, there's a frequency encoded in that song and you're stepping into it and there's a freedom there because it feels like fun and play and just it's just music to feel yourself and step into this badass. but that's actually what it's like, right? That's actually how we do it. And I think we get so serious about these things sometimes. I don't know, I just love that example so much of using something to tune into a frequency because it just like that. It's just like the Taylor Swift example. It's like that is actually an aspect of you that lives within you that you're accessing in that moment. And the only reason that it's not there all the time is because of some limitation around that coming through always, right?
100%. One thing that just came through to me too is like the frequency and the alignment, which is something you and I are both so passionate about. It's like you can say the words, be yourself, be authentic,
Yeah,
be authentic. But the way that it will actually encode in your system and your body is when you're in the presence of it. So that's
yeah,
why music or musicians or celebrities or someone like you or I holding a space, facilitating and guiding, when you're actually in the presence and you experience that embodied, encoded, integrated feeling of what authenticity does feel like, that's when it fucking shifts. Because you can look at like anyone and everyone's going to say the words, be authentic, be you. But it's like
totally.
actually be you, to actually be authentic. That's not being celebrated. In my book, I have a whole chapter on it. I talk about woke robotic assimilation. I talk about what actually is going on in the world and the very strong forces that want people to be normal and want people to
Yeah.
be in a box. But you know, if you're listening to us, if you're in Michael's world, if you're in my world, you fucking know that you're here for more. So talk to us, Michael, because you're huge on being in this energetic alignment, being in the frequency and being and doing those like micro shifts and refinements. But I also was acknowledging you before we started recording on how amazing you are at like mapping and teaching and
Yeah.
showing people path. What would you describe like when you map this out or when you kind of a process of like how can somebody be where they are and shift into that frequency of truth?
Well, I love what you said about all of these structures that are trying to make us be normal. And I actually also resonate with what you're saying about your mom earlier too, because I came into this work through hypnotherapy background, and so we did a lot of like therapeutic training and parts work and bits like that. And what I found is that with the Western approach, it is that it's make you normal. There's like this blank slate, bland normal that we're trying to get people to, and I could just feel how much that didn't resonate. And with the more Eastern and kind of esoteric, energetic influence, we look at everything in terms of frequency. And so there is no good or bad, there is no right or wrong. Everything is just expressed differently, right? So you can even think about it like a gene expressed in a different way. And so it's in our shadows are actually just a shadow, a denser, you could say negative, although I wouldn't really give it that label expression of a part of us. But any part that's expressed in that way also has a gift in it. And so it's not that we want to take this rolling pin and just normalize everyone. It's that we want to elevate these parts of ourselves into the light and into the wholeness. And when we again to this like the Taylor Swift example and the celebrities, that's what people have done. They've taken the disowned parts and brought them back in. And so a lot of us carry little bits where there's like shame or guilt, and we rejected a little part of ourselves. Because okay, so let's go with the selfish example. Actually, this is great. So I was like that too. Okay, I came into this world like with a star frequency. I'm very particular. I was always a fashionista. I always loved luxury. I was like 7 years old and I wanted to be in five-star hotels. I didn't like going to the regular restaurants. So like I came through that way, right? And so when I was young, I got very much labeled with you're too much, you're too this, you're too that. And so in order to fit in, I suppressed that. And it's this part of me that's too much. I rejected that part, right? So you like disintegrate it with shame. And now there's this little part of you that's not part of the whole. And then anytime that comes up, we practice reshaming. So like I
Yeah.
would be an energetic match for people to tell me that I'm too much, that
Yeah.
I'm too extra, that I'm a diva because of this frequency that I hold within my being with this disintegrated part. And then whenever
Yes.
I get told that, I agree and I reshame myself because that's the practice pattern. So there's the frequency and then there's the beliefs, which are just the thoughts that keep repeating, which is this part of me is bad. And that's going to manifest in all these stories. We've all got stories stories about blah, blah, blah. This thing's wrong with me. And so the work is not to stop being too much or too big. It's to reclaim that part of you and to love that part of you and to bring it into the whole and go, what's gone on here? Can I love this part? And it's so often this scary piece in people's journeys because I'll say, can you love the part of you that feels like a failure? Can you love the part of you that cheated? Can you love the part of you that was afraid? And people are like, no, 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 that's the thing I'm trying to get away from. And I
Mm,
always have to say, that's the problem. That's what's keeping it alive. And so that's when we talk about like facing our shadows, it's like we have to re-own that part. But it's not that I'm going to go back to being a kid who's maybe rude and like too much. It's that by bringing that part into the whole and elevating the frequency, I'm actually going to become the self actualized celebrity. I'm going to be the person who my light and my message and my work touches more people because
yeah.
that is part of the truth expression of who I am. And this example that I'm giving is quite literally part of what I've had to grow through because I really pushed away that side of myself, and there were so many stories that came up with it, just like you were saying earlier. It was bad to be too selfish, or it was all the money things, like it's somehow good to not charge money and to just give, even though oftentimes people were not, it was, there was no reciprocity there. And so this really is the work. And I guess what I want to say to whoever's listening is you're not the exception. There's nothing fundamentally like off about you or wrong about you, or you're not limited. We're actually born into a very specific environment and story that convinces us that we're the opposite of who we are. And a big part of when we kind of pass this precipice in awakening is when we start to realize that the things that we have learned to believe about ourselves are the lie. Are the lie. And I just want you to notice, if you're listening, if there's a part of you that comes up and goes, yeah, but it's easy for you to say because, or yeah, but I'm a lawyer, like you gave the example of earlier, and that just doesn't happen in my career. No, that's the lie. That's the distortion. That's the invisible box that
Yeah.
you're kept in. That isn't the truth. There is no person on this planet, especially that's listening to this conversation, because to even be here, you have to
Mm,
be a vibrational match for this conversation. So you've already
yeah.
got one toe in what we're talking about, which means that there's a part of you that already knows. And so just notice where your mind goes to fight for your limitation and just ask, what are you really fighting for? Because the truth is that you are so much more. The truth is that the very fact that you're experiencing this right now in your time space reality is because you're awakening to more. And so let that be the truth.
Okay. Snapping, clapping, right? Fucking drop. Wow. Yeah. Thank you, Michael. Thank you for going off on that. I
I
knew
know. You're just like, I'm in it now. I'm in it.
I fucking love it. I knew we were going off today. I knew we were going to pop off today. I knew we were going to go off because this is the thing. We've been speaking truth. We are living truth. Once you hit a certain point in your awakening and you cross that line, it's a line in the sand. There's no fucking turning back. Once you cross that line into raising the standard of I'm only on the frequency of truth, your life gets a lot more expanded. And with what you're saying, you're like if you're listening to this and you're rubbing up to a growth edge right now and you're feeling it because an old part of you is trying to re-show you the shadow so that you can integrate it, right? Or to show you something that you need to reclaim your power back from and take your power back and take a stand on, whatever it is, it's happening for you. And you get into a certain point, like you said, if you're listening to this, you're an energetic match for this conversation. This is a fucking big conversation. My God, it is big. But once you're on this frequency and you get to that next level and you get to the standard of I am only here for the highest truth and the highest love and the highest light, and that's it. It gets very clear. You become expired and allergic to things that are old and expired. You go, I'm allergic to that now. I'm allergic to that now. Something shows up as a growth edge and an opportunity. You're feeling the emotional vulnerability of, oh, this is hard and different and new, but there's something in you. And depending on where you're at again on your journey, it might be a really strong sense, or it might be a very small little like thread, but there's something in you that's this is good. This is good. You know what I mean? I can't even give you the number of examples in my life of when I'm now that I'm only on the frequency of truth, that something quote unquote hard, again, we're not judging it as good or bad, but something challenging or harder, something that like it expands me, and not in an exciting good way, but in that
Yeah.
ow, this is expansive way. When that happens, even if parts of me don't like it, there's a strong part of me that's thank you. Thank you for showing me where I am not fully integrated, where I have not fully reclaimed truth and power here.
I love this. I love this so much that you brought in this example. I'm so, so, so big on this as well. And I think what you're speaking about is the law of opposites. And I actually like and I think it takes work. This is where I think there's conscious work to retrain ourselves how we experience things because we do like in our human we experience of oh there's this obstacle or this edge or this thing. But what I often find is that the experience that we're having is actually the experience that gives us the ability to cultivate the inner resource to become the full energetic match for the thing that we're calling in. So let's say I'll give you an example. I had a client last year who was at 500,000 a year in her business and she was working on calibrating to 1 million. And we were setting a very strong intention. We were doing energetic work around that, calling that in. And then she had this big financial crisis. And basically one of her banks, I don't know, there's an issue with a loan and then her payment processor like stopped. They like paused her account. And it was all this stuff at the same time. And she was freaking out about it. And I was like, oh, no, no, no. This is the opportunity
Yes,
to
opportunity.
deepen your resolve and deepen your like energetic integrity around money, because if at the stakes that you're at right now this is going to knock you off, then you're not ready for 1 million, because in order to hold a thing you have to hold the light side and the shadow side, and we mostly only focus on holding the light side. So it's like you also have to be able to hold like the financial stresses of 1 million a year. And so if this cracks you, you're not a match. So instead of looking at this like a problem, this is actually your opportunity to shore that up and get really solid to become the energetic match for I can hold 1 million and I can hold the flip side of 1 million. And so I just love where you took this.
Oh, fuck yeah. I love it. And I love that specific example. I'm now rattling through a few of my own personal examples and then a few clients of manifesting these big tax bills, or manifesting if opening a new company and then all this shit comes up that you have to deal with in terms of the lease and the tenants that are there. I'm thinking of all these personal stories of clients of mine, and it's like that's what's amazing about being held in a container, by the way. You can hold
Yes.
your client through that. I'm holding my clients through this. It's then you have a safe place to land, and then they go, holy fuck, okay, yeah, I made $1 million and now this, and it's amazing. Yay, this is awesome. This is great. I love this opportunity for you. Here's how we're going to move through it powerfully. Because once you integrate the shadow, like you said, hold both sides of it, there's no reason to re-experience that suffering. There's no reason, and it's not real suffering, by the way. Me and Danielle just spoke of this on a podcast the other day. When you're fully alive, nothing feels like suffering. Even
Yeah.
the pain of the edge and the fear of the edge and the unknown, it doesn't feel like suffering. It feels like you're fucking alive. And as someone who's had a near death experience and died and came back within the last year, I can tell you it's not that scary. It's scary it's hard to, calculate time because time isn't real, especially when you're on merging in dimensions like that. But it's like a blip. It's like a millisecond of holy fuck, I'm like, this is so scary and painful. And then it's like bliss and euphoria. And if you integrate that into your life, there's no reason to re-experience it when you've fully integrated it, when you've fully gone, these are the lessons, this is the learning, thank you, amazing, okay, like I don't ever think I need to have another near-death experience. Been there, done
Yeah.
that, thank you. Right, same as anything that I've gone through in my business that has been really hard and challenging, in finances really hard and challenging, in relationships. I can think of some personal relationship stories that are not public yet that were really hard and challenging, that I am so proud of how I held and walked through that. I am so grateful for holding the shadow and the light through that. I never need to experience that again. And if I do, for whatever reason, if that somehow gets popped into my reality, I know how to handle it. I know how to
Yeah.
hold it. I've got it. Like people might be hearing this and being going, oh, but I don't want to manifest five 500,000 to 1 million if it's going to equal this. Then you're never going to go to the 1.5 to the 2 to the like, what are you here for?
Yes, and I love the way that you brought in loops, because this is the thing. It's that feeling of, oh, I don't want to that's the thing. Just like I was talking about earlier, where we keep disintegrating and separating this part of ourselves, but then it keeps me being the vibrational match for partners and people that go, oh, you're too much, you're too extra. It's the same thing. That's where the loops and the cycles repeat in our life because we're not willing to fully go into that experience and integrate it. Like you said, it's like I avoid, I sit on the edge, and so I stay disintegrated in the same state. And so I stay in the same vibration, which means I continue to be a vibrational match for that experience. And so we go around the cycle of life, and then life is here's your, and then the next opportunity to integrate. And you're like, oh, I didn't get off this time. And then we go around, and then you go, oh, I didn't get off this time. And so when you go, I don't want to have that negative, air quotes, negative experience happen. It's okay, but do you want to keep repeating the same
Yeah.
loops and the same cycles? No. And I think that's what's so beautiful about, there's obviously there's the subconscious and the energetic part of this work, but then there's also the conscious awareness that I think that we build around how all of this works because we get to be the person who sees this and moves fast and just continues to rise. And I love too, you said this on a podcast with Amy that I was listening to the other day, with Amy Elizabeth, who's also incredible, was you said, I love the way you said this. You said the 3D doesn't inform the 3D.
Yeah.
And it's in those moments where the fear comes up, where something bad is happening, that it's easy to get hooked into that. And we start believing that the 3D is creating rather than remembering that we are always creating. And so I actually think that those are such powerful moments to come back to that truth that, like, I always have the choice. I always have the power of my decision. I always am the one that's the ultimate creator in my life.
Mm, yeah, and the hologram doesn't influence the hologram, the 3D doesn't influence the 3D. That concept, that's something that you're gonna understand in a very embodied way if you dive deeper and work with Michael or I or someone doing similar things. But to kind of allow you to use that energy today as you're listening to this podcast, the reason energetics is so important, and we've been doing this for years, we've been living this, but it's now like people are seeing it now and going, oh, I need an energy healer. I need an energetics. I need energetics work. I need that. They're seeing it now because that is the new currency that things are working on because truth is unveiling as illusions pop up, more truth, new illusions, more truth, new illusions, more truth. We're seeing it in media. We're seeing it in politics. We're seeing it in the economy. We're seeing it everywhere. But here's how you can integrate this right now. The more energetically aligned you are, the more you're embodying your truth, the more you're willing to move through life as a soul having a human experience, the closer you get to that energetic alignment equals the closer you get to the field. And it's the field that influences the third dimension, it's the field that influences the physical reality. So how can you, even in your human skin suit, get closer and closer to God, to source, to truth, whatever that is for you? Okay. Whatever that is for you, getting closer to that energetic alignment. And that's why when I'm working with a client, I don't care if it's a 45-minute session with one of my busy executive clients that only has, a quick session here and there. I'm getting them into a state of bliss and euphoria and getting them through breath work, through somatics, or energy work so that they can soul merge, so that they can experience what euphoria, life as a solar spirit feels like. From that space, we're creating. We're not
Yeah.
creating from these old patterns and programs of hustle and whatnot, right? You can be in a soul space like you were describing today. You've been very in that masculine energy of systems and strategy. That's amazing. That can still be influenced. That is influenced by energetics. And that influences the third dimension. But if you're doing those things with no energetic influence or with no big vision or with no attunement and alignment, you're just literally wasting your fucking time on hamster wheel. So
Yeah.
get into alignment, get into the energetic space, and then you can start to actually influence the field. And I'll tell you this, the more you get into that energetic space, the less fucks you give about influencing the reality because you just feel so good. So you're
Yeah.
literally like, this is all great. I don't need to try to set goals or change things. You just start to merge and go, thank you for all of this.
To bring that into a slight, like that last piece into a tangible, like,
Yeah.
example, because I think it's really important. I was just talking about this last night with one of my friends. It's like the difference between when we're reaching for something and when we just live on that floor, right? When you're like, oh, like I need to go do this thing or like book this thing to get to try and make it happen versus like I just live on the penthouse floor. It's where I always go back to. It's just normal to be there. And that's what kind of happens when we're living that level of truth and individuation and actualization, as you said.
Such a good fucking example. Holy crap. I have a light bulb going off about an action I took today that was very much like that penthouse reality of just like, yeah, this is just what I do.
This
This
is
is
where we
just
live now.
like this is yeah,
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, like what? Yeah, I can't share it right now, but it's a thing. So thank you for reflecting that because I love it. So Michael, before I know we need to wrap this up, but and normally I don't like even going into like how can someone work with you right now on an episode, but it's feeling really right for you and I to each share not just where people can find us, but what is a container that would be correct for the person who is resonating on a soul level with this conversation. I feel a strong nudge to call them into that. So I'd love you to share what that is for you.
Yeah, thank you. So for me, it would be Lux Familia, which is my mastermind, which is a small group of very high level people that we do this exact work that we're talking about today with. That is the space that's at the level that we've spoken about today. I don't even think there's much more to say about it than that. You can find me obviously on social media and just send a message and we can go from there.
Fuck yeah. I love that. Lux Familia. Okay. So for
Family of light is what it means in Latin.
I love, yes, that's beautiful. Oh my gosh. So for me, the person who is soul resonating on this frequency, who is I'm ready to be in complete attunement with this reality, the power proximity portal is where this is for me. It's my one-on-one container. There are two tiers of it. There's a tier one, there's a tier two. And they're not one is not better than the other. They are very different in price, but one is not better than the other. It's just the amount of proximity and the amount of
Mm.
time and resource that you're ready to contribute to this level. So the power proximity portal, same as what Michael said, find me on Instagram at uplift_lifestyle. We'll tag both of our stuff in the show notes and reach out and just be like, I listen to this conversation, let's go. And that's it. That's same as you. That's all I need to say. You're going to know if you're ready for that proximity and that power. And I'm excited to meet you, whoever you are, all of you. Oh, I can't wait.
So good. What a conversation. Thank you so much for today. I feel like we both just
I'm floating.
lit
I'm
up.
flying.
Lit up.
I'm floating. I'm flying. I'm high on life. Like the better it gets, the better it gets. And yeah, my last words for the audience, and I'd love you to share your last words too, is it's simple, but I love being simple on the podcast. Main character energy. Like
Mm.
it's so simple. And yes, you've heard many people say it, but are you living it? Are you being the main character? That's where I'm going to leave everyone.
Yeah, ooh, I love this. I will also leave one piece, and I think I invite you to look at the way you're perceiving time. We often use time when we're afraid. We're like, I can see this thing and I'm willing to believe that it's possible, just not that it's possible for me today. And that is part of the illusion. So the thing that you can see and that you can already touch with your mind and your spirit now, right now, today. No more using time as a wedge of being like, I'm almost there, but not yet. We're done with that. Now. We only have now. And so the version that you can touch is actually part of who you are now. So let yourself become more of it right now.
Amen. Goodbye, everyone. Awesome.
Thank you for joining us today. We're sending you so much love and bye for now.
Bye.